Right, what's on, guys? 2 days away from the trip now, so getting pretty close, getting to panic stage, making sure we've got everything. So I thought we'd make one last video before we go away, which is this one you're watching now. So basically probably just going to be a bit of an update, what we're taking, what we've got in the cars, any last minute updates to the cars, and then obviously we'll be making our way up to Folkestone before we head over, hopefully as long as we get up there before we head over. So I think first of all I'm going to shoot you over to Fishley's place. He's made a few clips. He's got Ruin's car down at his place now. Obviously he needed a car to get up to Folkestone because obviously there's only 2 seats in my car this year, so we can't all 3 go up. So Ruin's dropped the car down with him. So I'm going to shoot you up to Mark's place now so you can see what he's been up to, and then we'll come back after that.
What's on? So right, we got Ruin's Nanstone back in the shed. I've got it down here because I'm going to drive it up to Kent and follow Darren. I think it's better to have maybe a spare car that hopefully would keep running. Saying that, I think it'll break down now. But yeah, just in case there's any issues, you know, you can hang a rope to the JD machine and drag it off the road and deal with it rather than be on the side of the M25 or something. Yeah, so I'm just giving it a bit of a check over. Ruin's done about 1,500 miles now on the engine. There's a few little things that just need sorting. There's a drive shaft boot that's split. I also want to change the rear tyres because they're fairly old and a bit perishy, so we'll sort that out. No doubt there'll be a few odds and sods along the way. I think there's extra USB ports want putting in the car to charge your phone and such like, and I think an inverter needs to be wired in for the CBs. But yeah, so we'll just sort of crack on and sort of do a few more bits and pieces to it. I've drained the oil out the gearbox already. I've loosened a few nuts and bolts for the drive shaft, so it's a case of now just whip the wheel off, pull the shaft. Mr. Frost, he's going to sort us out with another one. But yeah, no, we'll crack on and do a little bit more in a minute. So on the back of the car here on the brakes, and I've got that one loose and out of the carrier, and got that one down there loose. This pipe's perished. I mean, it probably would be okay, but for the sake of a few quid, I'm going to just change it. And then over here on this one here, this here mount needs changing because the carrier for the brake pipe, it had some other bracket here which wasn't very good, so that's all fallen off and come off. So going to change that one. So I've loosened all the bolts in here. Sorry, it's also dark, but you probably know what it looks like anyway. So I'm going to loosen that one, get him all. Well, that will just sort of come down. I've got another one from the stores coming this evening. So we'll get that sorted. That pipe, I'm not too happy with it. It's a bit crusty, so I'm gonna join it back here and put a new, put a joiner in and just run a new bit of copper down. So that'd be job done. Never have to touch that again. Got the carrier out the way, the spare wheel carrier. Absolute nightmare to get that bolt off, but we persevered and it's out. And I cleaned it up in the bench grinder and on the wire wheel, and that'll go again. So probably now I'm going to come up the front here, and I got I'm going to drop the wheel. I mean, the wheels are knackered anyway. We've got another set in the car with some new tyres coming. So I'm going to drop that and I will get the drive shaft out. And then that will be there on the floor ready. After that, don't know, I'll go and find something else to do, I suppose then. What's on my boots? Right, we've had Ruin here today. He come down early this morning. I forgot to have my phone out because I left it in the car at the time, so didn't get much of any recording when he was here. But what have we done? We have, yeah, what have we done actually? Well, we got the original P6000 out and thought we'd just treat that one, but no, I needed one of the wheels for we got a set of 3 in the boot, which we're going to put some better tyres on because they're fairly old, I think, or something or other anyway. Oh, they're on profile, that's it. So we're going for 195 55 15s, which we've got, and I've only got 3 there, so we took the best one off, and that's what it'll be, and I think whichever other one will be a spare then. So I've had all the brakes apart. Unfortunately, he's off the ramp now. We probably won't just see nothing here, but put a couple of new flexies on. And made up a new pipe there because that was not very nice. I bled the brakes through. Luckily, didn't snap any bleed nipples, so that was all good. A couple of new number plates, We've changed the drive shaft because yes, that was it. The boot was split, so we've refilled all the gearbox oil on that. We've tidied up the engine bay a little bit, just some extra cables in for the map sensor and the N75 valve, or whatever you want to call it. So we've tidied all that up and secured it. I've put all the inner arch sort of spats back on because it was missing some of them. One bracket for the brake pipe, so that was all just sort of cable tied onto the strut, so sorted that out. So like now, what we do now, we are, that's it, speakers, and that check strap is clicking and annoying me. So we're gonna have a look at that. We've got some, whatever the hell this is rolled up, JBLs. Oh, look out! Only the quality here. It's also come up with some bulb kit and a breathalyzer. So we'll add that to the emergency toolkit. So yeah, not too long to go now. We're it's on the inside now. So all underneath's all been nut and bolt checked. So I do these speakers. I'm gonna just wipe them all over, wipe all the dashboard about and that, and we'll sort it. Got a bit of a mess in the back there, so just going to sort that out. And then it needs a bloody good wash, because it is absolutely hanging. There. Cheers and gone. Cheers and gone. What's on, people? Right, this evening we're on deciding what tyres we're putting on, what wheels to go on the machine. So I brought a bootload of stuff up to Mr. Frost. He's here busy working on his beast. We're keeping quiet though because he's doing an axle and he can go from 0 to niggly in just a few seconds. So yeah, we chanced the P6000 up to here, and so now I'm deciding, because we've just discovered one of the clones is got a fair cuff on it on the inside, so he's no good. So we're just deciding which ones are going to be for what. We might have to rob that one, I suppose, because he's the next best one, and put another tyre on that one. But we'll see. We'll work it out and hopefully get something sorted. Cheers and gone.
Right, okay, so it looks like Mark and Ruin's machine is pretty much ready to go. I think Ruin's actually put around 1,500 miles or so on it since you saw the engine go in a couple of weeks ago, so probably ruled out most of the major issues they're going to have with that, hopefully anyway. So that's pretty much ready to rock and roll now. You see the original list we had here now, everything is crossed off other than cleaning it, but I think that's a bit of a low priority job. Maybe we'll do that on the trip as we go, I think. Everything else is ticked off there now. Last little job I did last night was just to remove the water meth tank, which you can see on the side here. That was just taking up space in the boot. It's not used on the current setup. We're nowhere near pushing this engine hard enough to need that, so I've taken that out to make space. I've now started to pack all the tools and everything in the back. It's going to be quite tight this year. So I'm going to go through everything that I've packed in my toolboxes and spare parts and all the rest of it, which is going to go in the back of the DT. I'll take you through all of that in a minute so you can get an idea for the amount of stuff we're taking with us. So before we get into everything that I've got going on here, we're going to flick up to Yorkshire and see what Sam's up to. So we'll see you up there.
Right, this might all get condensed yet, but this is the spares list that I'm taking on the trip. So if we'll start with the tools, taking a 3/8 socket set with Torx and Allen key sockets, some quarter drive stuff. Got a little set there with some screwdriver bits in, little quarter drive set, pliers, mole grips, wire brush, hammer. Got some 1/2" sockets and ratchet. Got full set of spanners from 7 to 21, apart from 20 because there's nothing on the car that's 20. A few ratchet spanners, screwdrivers, multimeter, hacksaw, breaker bar. Moving down here, got soldering iron, tyre wraps, got some various sealants, gasket maker, got a 1/2" to 1/2" straight connector there in case I have to bypass the oil cooler. I've got some steel stick and some chemical metal. Got relays and fuses, torch, gloves, straps, recovery straps, and then moving up here we've got the sort of like tyre weld, some sort of puncture repair kits. Got an inverter to run the laptop, jump leads, AC90, which is like WD-40, some brake cleaner. Got all the requirements for Europe, so the headlight adapters, GB badge, and there's some breathalyzers under there. We've also got the warning triangle, which is another requirement. Gaff tape, box nuts and bolts. Got a spare auxiliary belt, spare lift pump, little air compressor, jump leads, extension lead in the corner there for Darren's welder and anything else we might need it for. That 6-way extension has got a EU plug on it, which is handy for on the campsite. Not 100% if I'm taking those filters there, but there's a spare air filter, fuel filter, an oil filter. There's a litre of oil there and some rad weld, bit of epoxy, some chocolate block, got a 10 litre can of diesel. And then in this box here we've got spare turbo actuator, and then it's just all that's head springs. Just got half a dozen head springs and some retainers and rocker arms, spare cam chain tensioner, and I've got a couple of spare vacuum solenoids, and things like a couple of double relays. We've got some fuel pressure regulators, all the engine sensors. Got a spare bulb kit, and then over here we've got a full first aid kit, gloves, wipes, rags, high vis another requirement, and some blue roll, Europe map, Haynes manual, and we've got some workshop manuals just in case we need them for any particulars if we do strip an engine down. So hopefully I can get this condensed as much as possible and in the back of the car and still have plenty of room for everything else. But I'm hoping that I can get all this stuff. Torch. I'm going to get all this stuff either side of the battery. So if I pack it well, I should get it all either side of the battery and still have plenty of space for luggage. This is what I'll be taking from a tech point of view. Just simple laptop with Peugeot Planet and the cable for uploading maps, the MPPS cable, as well as a small inverter just in case the main one fails. And this is it fully packed. Because I think I might ditch those filters. It's just had an oil change. Don't think I'll need an oil filter. I might change the fuel filter, but then again it's only done about 800 miles, so it shouldn't really be a problem. So I'll probably just ditch them. But everything's fit nicely. Bit of space for luggage. And then, like I say, I've got the entire back seats for anything else.
So I thought I'd just go through now some of the stuff that I'm going to be bringing. So I've got it all laid out outside, just trying to fit it all in the car. See in the back at the minute, obviously you've got the spare wheel and a jack. Obviously that's pretty essential, and some wood blocks. So there we've got some oil and coolant. Again, fairly essential really anywhere you go in this thing, just in case. Right, so the first box we got here is basically just the top box off my toolbox in the workshop. So this is really just full of generic tools. So we have all got together obviously before now and decided who's bringing what, because there's no point all of us bringing socket sets and all of us bringing spanners, because you just end up with 20 of everything. Obviously that does backfire a little bit, because me and Chris have obviously got to get this from Cornwall to Folkestone in the first place, which is for this car a fair trek. So obviously we're going to be wanting to carry like most of the basic tools with us at all time. No, I'll be lying if I said we aren't expecting issues. This car was never made for driving on long distance, so we're definitely travelling well equipped this year compared to normal. In previous years we've actually been fairly stingy on tools, mainly because of the weight and space. With only 2 cars normally, there's not a lot of spare space for luggage, so we don't want to be bringing more than we need to. Quite the opposite this year. We're going pretty over prepared. We've got a lot of tools on board. So this box here has got all of the normal basic sort of sockets, Torx bits, Allens, all that sort of thing. We got basic 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, some ratchet spanners, grips, pliers, that sort of thing. This is all your normal stuff you'll find in anyone's toolbox. But that'll basically cover your basic toolkit all in that blue box there. I've still got some stuff to add, probably still take some stuff out. We're trying to keep the weight as low as possible, obviously, because I think we've got plenty of space in the back of the 36. It's more the weight that's the problem, because we've obviously got our luggage and stuff on top of this as well. So I could be raising the beam again yet, I think. Alright, come outside here now. So I've got another box here. This is sort of consumables and stuff. So we've got some power steering fluid, again all little small containers, brake fluid, screen wash, got some tyre goop there for emergencies, spare oil filter, spare fuel filter, couple spare auxiliary belts. Again, mine's on it, obviously it's because it's custom set up, 8 rib wide, different length. It's awkward to get hold of stuff like this easily on the move. We've got some brake cleaner there, some spray grease, and we've got some dash 8 and dash 4 Teflon braided line there, which is the size of my oil feed and also my fuel feeds, so we've got a bit of pipe to play with if we get any problems there. We've got another box here, which is, again, this one isn't really finished yet, it's just the one I'm filling up at the moment. So we've got sort of basic collection of screwdrivers, valve stem tool, valve stem remover, large cable ties, welding rods, various sizes, your sort of full selection of spanners, obviously from 6mm up to 24, and 2 of some of the common fittings I've got on the engine so we can undo them if we get problems, and obviously trusty adjustable, can't go wrong. Light, pretty essential. I've got the normal sort of group of silicone, exhaust paste, Hymalar, contact adhesive, arrow tight, all that sort of thing. You know, you can pretty much get yourself out of a lot of issues with that sort of thing. Cable ties, pry bars, some bigger spanners there, some small cable ties, meter and temperature probe, some ether, grease, JB weld. Again, JB weld is one of those things where if you're stuck at the side of the road, it's amazing what you can do with that stuff to get out of trouble. That's the charger for the light, soldering iron, and an air compressor, little 12-volt one, so we got some form of air to blow tyres up or whatever if we get any problems there. Another box full of stuff here. This is kind of more parts, etc. We've got a tyre repair kit there. Obviously don't exactly condone this, but it's, again, it'll get you out of trouble if you're stuck somewhere, have done before. Some hand wipes, obviously handy, a box of gloves, fairly essential. We've got a breaker bar there. That box there's got a spare Recon core for a 2260 VK in it. Both me and Sam are running a turbo like that, so it doesn't do any harm to have a spare core on us. Obviously it's pretty quick and easy to just undo the hot side exhaust housing bolts, remove the whole cartridge and cold side, swap it over, and you're back on the road again. 2 different gauges of wire there, spare camshafts. That's one of these generic European kits, so that's got all your legal stuff, high vis, breathalyzer, headlight adapters, GB badge, and all that sort of stuff you have to drive in various countries over in Europe. And we got a spare set of 16 valve injectors, set of 4, just random used ones there in case we get any problems there. Got a spare fly-by-wire TPS, both me and Sam are running them, so I thought it's not a bad idea to bring them. The box at the bottom, the yellow box, that's actually got 6 spare high pressure lines, full length, unbent. If you remember in some of the previous videos, we have had problems in the past with the cracking of those lines. Touch wood, since we've actually changed to the newer style line, we haven't had one fail, but we figured we better bring a few spares, so we've got 6 in there. I've also got one there which is already, I've pre-bent, you know, so basically if we do get one fail, you can just unbolt the one that's on the car and that one will bolt straight up, so it's probably less than 5 minutes you can be back on the road again, which is ideal if we run into any problems. Fingers crossed we won't. Here we got a couple of my boxes. So this is just my normal electrical box you see in all the other videos, so just crimps, fuses, relays, tape, crimping pliers and some pins and connectors and stuff like that, some solder in there, just all the normal stuff. This box here I've kind of just emptied out and put together really specially for the trip, so it's all fairly specific stuff to my car really. We've got some common rail blanks there, so if we get a major injector problem or a major cylinder problem, we can blank one off or whatever we need to do there to get out of trouble. Some brake line fittings, including one that I've welded over. That there is in case we get any problems with our EMP pipe cracking, you can just undo it, screw that in and bung it and be done with that. Some valve stems, plotter pins, C-clips, some adhesive tape. Again, O-rings, washers, nuts, just random stuff there. Some 90-degree high pressure fittings. We've got a few of those on the car, so I've got some spares in case we have one fail. We've got 3 -8 male couplers there. That's the size of my fuel lines. So if we get any issues with the swell tank or anything, we're able to bypass it with those. We've got a couple of -4 fittings there. I had them lying around, so I figured they're the size of the oil lines. We'll take them with us, just in case we get an oil hose rupture or something and we need to redo an end. We've got some spare olives there as well, just in case we need to remake an end. Again, a 30-degree -8. That was just a spare, so we're bringing it with us. Here we've got some female -8 caps. That's in case we do need to disconnect that swell pot or anything. You can cap off the feeds with that then to avoid dropping basically a litre of diesel on the floor or on the road or wherever you might be, which is probably a little bit frowned upon. Here we got 2-4 male bungs. Again, that's my turbo feed, so if you get either turbo fail, we can bung the oil feed quickly and easily and get back on the road, so we can keep our oil pressure up and not chuck a load of oil down the inlet or down the exhaust. Moving over here then, we got a set of 16 rocker arm assemblies, 16 standard valve springs and 16 lifters, 2 random Juby clips, some leak off pipes, some random 6mm just hose, spare high pressure fuel inlet metering valve off the CP3 with some bolts, spare master cylinder for the clutch. Obviously that's another bit of a worry because that's something we have had problems with, so we're going to carry one of those with us. Some more high pressure fittings, bit of 20mm line there, which is my coolant lines in case we have to bypass something, some copper line in case we need to remake EMP fitting. Last but not least, we got the box over here. We got toe strap in the bottom with shackles on the bottom, jump leads in there, some heavy duty jump leads, some just general paper towels there, and then on top there we've just got a little inverter stick welder, which obviously a mask there in case we run into anything that needs some slightly more serious attention, i.e. manifolds cracking or brackets for something breaking, you know, anything really. But I figured it'd be worth the space. It's only a tiny little inverter job, so that's coming with us in case we get any problems there. So you can see it looks like quite a lot all laid out on the floor here. Obviously we've got the spare wheel in there, we've got the box in there as well, jack, some wood, and obviously then we've also got to get our luggage in. So it's going to be fairly busy in here. Hopefully I've raised the rear beam enough to compensate. Ideally, with all this in, I don't really want it any lower than it was normally before, because it's happy at the height it was before. So we want to aim to try and sit it back there, or obviously if it's higher, that's fine. So I think that pretty much covers everything I'm going to be taking with me. So we're going to get this all loaded up, hopefully tonight, stroke tomorrow. Make sure everything fits, make sure the ride height's okay. Juice her up with diesel. And I think that's about all we can do, really. Obviously, we're fully expecting problems. We're going to be bringing the cameras with us, so you'll be sure to see them when we run into them. I'm going to hand you up to Fubi now, or Fubi, or Adam, or also known as the architect. You probably haven't seen a huge amount of him yet, but he comes on all the trips with us. He's a bit of a tech guru, so we always have issues with Wi-Fi and stuff. So I think Adam's working on a bit of a plan to get us online a bit more reliably. All right, so we'll shoot up Fubi's place now and see what he's got going on up there.
What's on? Northern Derv Mafia Architect Division reporting in. Just setting up some critical equipment for our holiday. Just setting up a router in a box, actually, using a Qualcomm device with a couple of bits of technology. When we go on holiday, we generally have loads of problems with Wi-Fi. We generally have quite good strong phone signal, but either every year we come across absolute chronic failing, and that's either because the Wi-Fi that's in the hotel can only support like one device, or because people are using point-to-point access stations as access points rather than using proper access points. So we've got this Qualcomm device over there that's going to do the routing. It's running Debian 9.9, completely overkill with 8 gig of RAM and 240 gig solid state drive. Planning on using this Unify access point. It's a Unify AC Pro, which will be configured for just the Eurotrip Derv Mafia. And we've also got this NanoStation M2, also from Ubiquiti, just in case they are using a point-to-point access systems over there. So I need to get on finishing with all of this. I need to get packed. So that's me signing off for now. Architect out.
Right, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I think it's pretty much time to sign off now. So hopefully the next time you see us, we'll be over in Europe, provided we've all made it. Hopefully we'll get some videos up, like I said, while we're over there. But if not, I've got one more video that I'm going to upload now when I upload this one, just to give you some of the highlights from the last year's trip. So hopefully there's some interesting bits in there, and we'll see you on the other side. Right on, cheers.